And so in 2020, on February 2nd, 2020, the Kansas City Chiefs won for the first time in 50 years the Super Bowl. Why is this important? Bob Jones prophesied that when the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl, the beginning of the billion soul youth harvest had come. So the church was all excited. Yay, the Super Bowl. This is 2/2/2020. Literally, what, a month before COVID hits?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's so excited. Here we are. We're hitting revival. A month later, crash. Everything is shut down.
Mm-hmm.
Darkness covers America. And the revival that we thought was coming didn't come like the way that we thought, but it was definitely here and it had definitely come. It just didn't come in the way, in the package that we thought it was coming. But friends,
which is pretty common, when you're looking at the move of God. Yeah.
It's so true.
Yeah.
So the other highlight about the Super Bowl is the Kansas City Chiefs coach. The Super Bowl win was his 222nd career win.
Wow.
That's 2-2-2.
Mm-hmm.
And this was on 2/2/2020. So we've got all these twos. Okay. So hello, right? It's obviously that the Lord is pointing to something. Kansas City Chiefs, 2/2/2020, coach 2/22, and the Kansas City Prophets all buried on 2/22.
Yeah, that's beyond coincidence.
So where do we wake up? What do we do? What do we do with this? What do we see? Well, the Lord is pointing and highlighting to that number because he's saying now is the time for this prophecy to come forth. Just like Bob Jones said, it all ties together. So if we say that 2020 was the beginning of the billion soul youth harvest, yet we didn't really see a lot of youth revival at that time that we're seeing now,
Mm-hmm.
Bob Jones said something else that was very important in his prophetic word when he talked about the billion soul youth. He said the very beginning of it would be the harvest of harvesters. So he said there would be a few years, that's 3 years, friends, that there would be a harvest of harvesters. And whether that's 2 or 3 years, or I don't know if he said 3 years. He said that the first part would be years of the harvest of the harvesters. But here's why I think it has been time-stamped now. Because with the youth revival happening with Asbury and across all the campuses, and them highlighting the date 2/22/2023, like we talked about,
Mm-hmm.
I feel that that is a timestamp of the Lord, that and now the harvest of harvesters has come forth. And the next years, include up to the next decade, Bob Jones said, after the first initial harvest happened, the harvest of the harvesters, then the harvesters would go out and get the billion soul youth harvest. Who better to harvest youth than youth, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I believe the timestamp of the first window, the first harvest has happened, and that the Lord is saying, and now from 2023 out, there is going to be a youth revival like we've never seen. And these young people that have gotten on fire at these youth revivals, the college kids, all of the people that have been touched through that revival, these are the ones God's harvesting right now to become the harvesters. And we're about to see the influx of souls to the kingdom of God.
Amen. Well, and what's cool about that too is kind of going beyond Bob Jones and into Paul Cain's prophecy about stadium, is that I was just thinking about this as you were talking, that in California, Mondo Matthews is putting together big multi-stadium events, and there's really a big flood of youth flooding to these, that are going to be flooding to these stadiums. It's obviously for everybody, but there's a big flood of youth. And I've highlighted the guys in California Will Be Saved, who are all part of the Gen Z generation, young guys that are passionate for Jesus in California, really spearheading that. So I don't know how long these things, it does seem like when something like this happens, you've got things that mark certain things, but then those things still continue, even though more things start to pop up. If that makes sense. So like, if it's like, okay, well, the harvesting the harvesters, okay, what we may still see that happening while stadium events happen, and stadium events happen, and then this thing and this thing happen. But those other things that started the movement may still be happening as these things progress. But I mean, the thing that I really want people to grab a hold of as Jen is talking about this is, this is how you grab a hold of a prophetic word. Obviously there's a faith element to it, but it's not, and I talk about this a lot on the show because I know we have some people that watch this show that they don't hang out around prophetic types. They don't really listen to a whole lot of prophecies. The only time they do hear prophecies are when we talk about them on this show, which is really cool. Like it just shows that there's a curiosity towards deeper things, that it's not that there's more, like that God is speaking today. So this is a prophecy. Do you know when Bob Jones gave this prophecy about the billion soul harvest? Do you remember?
Oh, I don't know the exact.
It's been a while.
Of that. Yeah,
it's been a while.
It might be in my book,
but it's not like it was
research on it.
Yeah, it's not like it was just 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I mean, people have been holding on.
It had to be before the Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl 50 years before.
Yeah.
So if we do the math, that would put it around 1974, maybe. Yeah. I think it might have been 70, somewhere around there. Yeah. But yeah. So it was definitely 50 years ago.
Right. So this is, and we see this whole slow burn aspect of prophecy. Obviously, you can get a prophetic word about something that's very now, right? But then you can get prophecies, and we see this echoed in the Bible as well, that take a long time to get fulfilled. Certain things need to fall into place, and certain people need to be born, and so I think that I really want to kind of just revisit that, kind of this whole thing I'm talking about, to really get people to grab a hold of this, because it's not like you're making this out to be something it's not. There have been a lot of eyes on this prophecy for a long time, and there are a lot of people who are echoing what you're saying, Jen. So
and the youth dreams, the reason that I wrote the youth book is not just because I knew about the Bob Jones prophecy and things like that, but I wrote a book about the dark horse youth. Now, dark horse youth means hidden ones, ones unexpected, that you didn't expect to come out onto the scene, and they're going to emerge, and they're going to cause great impact. And that's, but my book is compiled with dreams I had from 2017, 2018, 2019, all about the youth. And that's before the 2020 confirmation with the Kansas City Chiefs winning the Super Bowl. That's before everyone said Bob Jones prophecy is here. So I wanted to just mention that to confirm to you guys watching that the Lord always backs up his word through multiple mouths, not just one. And I couldn't have known that prophecy would be fulfilled in 2020. So even though my book was released in 2022, what is inside of it happened before 2020 and had dreams about youth revivals and a youth movement.